Hi, and welcome to a brand new video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about how to connect your code to a Python backend. So let's get right into it. So what I already did was I created this Node project. And if you go into the Node project, you can see that I have an index.js file, just has a basic server, and also this post method that we're going to be writing in to access our Python. In my index.js, I created a form. It just takes in two numbers, and we're going to be calling the Python in order to return the sum. I know this is super lame. You can do this with JS, but I just want to introduce how to connect this to Python. And then after it returns, it's just going to, inside this p tag, it's going to just output the sum. And then the package.json file, make sure after you create it to change the scripts with the start tag so that you can run your program, because that's obviously really important. So now that we've gotten this basic thing, if you go over to the web page, you can see that we've got this set up. If I type in two numbers, right now it doesn't really do anything yet because this Python empty and it doesn't even return anything, which is probably giving this thing an error right over here. So let's put some code in this. What we're first going to do is I'm just going to create a new folder, and this is just going to be for a Python code. And I'm just going to create a file underneath that called sum.py. And we're going to go back into index. And here I'm going to be calling this sum.py. So in order to do that, we need to import this library. So it's going to be npm installed, and it's going to be child process. So that's the name of the package. And it installs pretty quickly. It's a small package. And then we can restart our server. And now inside this method, we're just going to want to create an instance of the child process. So we should do const spawn is equal to require child process. You just also want to do dot spawn because we're creating a spawn of it. The next thing you want to do is create another variable. It's going to be called process, and it's going to take in it's going to be using the spawn method. Now the spawn method takes in many parameters. The first parameter is like the type of file, so we're doing a Python file, and then the next one is an array. The first element in the array is going to be where the Python file is located. So this is going to be Python slash sum.py. And then the next element in the array is the argument you want to pass in. So we want to pass in these two numbers. So we're going to do rick.body.num1 and rick.body.num2. And that's the same names that we have here, num1 and num2. Now this is just creating a variable of the process, but we need to call the process. So we're going to do process.stdout.on. We're going to be taking in the data, and then we're going to be passing in a function with the data. So what this does is it just runs the function, and at the end it's going to get data, and it's going to pass it into this function. And we just want to do res.send JSON.stringify, and it's just going to be here we're taking in res.sum, so we're going to say sum is equal to data.toString. And if you also want to send a status, you could do .status.send, but this is not required. So if I run this, there's going to be an error, and the reason is because sum is empty, it doesn't return anything. So let's write some code into here. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to import sys. Sys is for system, and this is how we're going to access these two arguments. I'm going to create two variables. I'm going to create num1, and that's going to be the first argument, and num2 is going to be the second argument. And then in order to return a value, as you can see, we're accessing the return value here. So this is how you get values, these two values. In order to return the value, you have to do a print statement. So we're just going to print num1 plus num2, and that's what's going to be returned here. So let's try running this. I'm just going to close my server. I'm going to restart it because Node doesn't automatically update. I'm going to refresh my browser. I'm going to type in two numbers 1 and 2. I'm going to click submit. And now we're getting this error. So let's check it out. So it says we can't read num1 of undefined. The reason is because I actually forgot something. It doesn't take in the body here. So when you're calling Python, it doesn't accept the break.body. We have to do break.query. So I'm going to save that, and then over in HTML, instead of passing into the body, we'll do a question mark, num1 is equal to document, again, num1 plus num2 equal to num2. And then I'm just going to remove this. So now if we refresh the server, and I'm also going to remove all of this. I'm going to change this to a get. I'm going to uncomment this out. And now if we try running it, node index.js, let's try running it again. This time it says invalid left side in assessment. Oh, and the reason is because these need to be dot. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm going to create separate variables for them. And then I'm just going to put these variables here instead. So now if I rerun the server, this should work. If we do 1 and 2. And the last thing we need to fix is just here, do inner.html. So now if we go back over here, reload our server. Now you can see our sum's getting 12. And this is just a Python thing. We are adding two strings, so we need to convert them to integers first because we pass them in as strings. So now if we rerun the server, the sum is 3. So I hope this video was helpful. Even with all the errors that we got, we were able to resolve them, and see you in the next video.